Hello and welcome to 3V TV with me, Tony Brown of TonyLBrown.com, creator of the 3V strategy for business development and growth. Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for spending this time with us. We're here every Thursday discussing everything business, branding and digital marketing. So if those are your interests and if you want to make a better transition from employee to business owner, then you're in the right place. This evening I've got another special guest with us and I'm really excited for her to share her story with us. I know you're going to get a ton of value, inspiration, motivation from hearing this story. So sit tight and stick around for the show. Before we start and before I invite our guests and welcome our guests to the show, I just want to say a big thank you to all the feedback following last week's episode. We had Nathan White on from White Label Clothing and that show went mini viral. We finished the show around 9 o'clock. I've done a bit of tweaks behind the scenes. I went to bed and I woke up and I saw how many comments were there, how many retweets, reposts, etc. So thank you very much. It's really encouraging to see you guys engaging and to hear the positive feedback that you've been getting from watching the show. So thanks for that. It means a lot. You know, we're here putting out these shows and just to get that type of engagement is really encouraging. So thank you. Like I said, we've got another special guest on today, and I was introduced to this guest only this week by a previous guest, so it was all sort of spontaneous. You know, Chris Marr, who was a previous guest, he says, Tony, I know this young lady and she's got a great story to tell and I think she'd be great for the show. So we made contact and Kate agreed to be on the show with us. So it's my pleasure to welcome Kate McQuillan to the show. Kate is and has got a story to tell. She's gone from being an employee to doing some freelance work to establishing a business in a new country, and she now has 55 employees working for her. She's been in business for 4 years and she's going to tell us a lot more about that and also about the journey she took from where she was to where she is now. Kate also does some speaking on the topic of content marketing and how you can use content marketing and digital marketing to really explode your business. And again, she's going to tell us a lot more about that. So, Kate, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
That's fine. It's a pleasure. I've given the viewers a bit of an insight. I've done the best I can in terms of the introduction. But just tell us a little bit about who you are, about your business, and how you got started out. Welcome.
Well, my name's Kate McQuillan, and thank you for the great introduction. Thank you for having me here today. I know it was very good of Chris to introduce us. I suppose we started our business back in 2010. Prior to that, both of us had worked in jobs. Mike, my husband, has a background in construction. I'd done a degree and then had a few different jobs. I worked in a bank, I worked in a call centre doing analysis, and had quite a few different freelance positions, project management type stuff. And one of the reasons, I suppose, for us for starting this business was that even working freelance, you're never really working for yourself. You know, you're always answering to somebody else. There's no financial stability with working for somebody else, although some might argue working for yourself there's no financial stability. But I think it was something that we've always both wanted, to have our own business. And you know, we both love animals, and when this opportunity came along, it was actually a friend of ours in the UK that was doing something similar, albeit on a very small kind of local scale. And it just seemed to us that it was a genius idea. You know, if you have pets, you'll understand that, you know, when you go away, it's very hard to put them into kennels. It's hard to keep asking friends and family. So what our service does is allows you to hire a professional company like you would hire a cleaner. So it was very much something that was solving a problem for us. And in the beginning, I suppose it was quite a local business that we were setting up. We never really thought that it was going to be as big as it is. You know, we went into it kind of thinking, well, you know, let's see where this takes us. We actually did quite a bit of research beforehand to see sort of the customer base in Ireland with pets. and that just really to see where we were at. And like I say, we started very local, and it quickly became apparent that there was a market there for it. You know, we were getting a lot of calls from all over Ireland. And I suppose it was then that we started to take it a little bit seriously. We started to look at ways we could advertise, and since then we've started using content marketing to grow our business and really taken it from there. We've gone from just having the two of us in it to 55 people, and just over 55, and an office manager. So, you know, it's grown quite considerably in the last 4 years.
Yeah. Wow. So just to be clear then, so the core business is you provide professional pet sitting services, dog walking services, etc. Tell us a bit more about the business itself.
Yeah, so if you were going away for the weekend, this weekend, and you have your dog, and you wanted to go away Friday night, we'd have one of our pet sitters come in Friday night to feed and walk your dog, come in Saturday morning, do the same maybe Saturday lunch, Saturday evening, Sunday you come home, the dog's just waiting for you. You know, it's like you've not been there. You know, you've not been away, sorry.
Yeah.
And then we do a lot of dog walking through the week when people are out at work. We have quite a few corporate clients who pay for their staff to have dog walkers for their pets, you know, people who are relocating. So we have quite a few corporate contracts. And it's just basically all around pet care service, really.
Yeah, excellent. And so, again, you say you moved from the UK to Ireland.
Yeah.
Was that part of the business strategy? Was that part of the business plan?
It was just by chance. Like, we're both from Nottingham originally.
Okay.
And in 98, a friend of ours who was living over in the UK but was Irish, he came home. He moved back home. And we came over a few times to visit him and just fell in love with the place. And sure, we were young and we thought, why not come over here, see if we like it. And we're still here. So it was nothing to do with business or anything like that. It was just purely, the place is just gorgeous. So we thought we'd move.
Yeah, excellent.
And it really is.
Which part of Ireland are you?
We're about an hour south of Dublin.
Okay.
So, so it's a nice, beautiful place, right up on the top of a hill, looking down over the town. It's, you know, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Great place to bring up dogs.
I was going to say, beautiful place to walk a dog.
It is, it's lovely.
Yeah. So, like I said, with the show, we like to encourage those who they've got a desire to start a business. They've got a vision. There's something burning inside them where, you know, they want to make that transition from employee to business owner. And, you know, we want to get people like yourself who have made that transition to kind of share some of the stages and the steps and also the challenges related to making that transition. You've obviously made a successful transition, Kate. But tell us about the early stages in terms of, you know, once you'd made a decision to leave work, or just that time where you were actually starting your journey. What was that like?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, you know, you have an idea, and I suppose two things can happen. You either rush into it or you take too long planning it. I think in some ways we were kind of in the middle. We rushed into we planned kind of in the beginning. We rushed into expanding the business. Like, we went from just covering our local area to covering the whole of Ireland. And in hindsight, that was quite a big task to take on so soon. And a lot of expense comes with that, you know, setting up systems. You know, we have an online booking system. You've got to have a website. There was a lot of stuff in the beginning. So in hindsight, maybe we could have taken baby steps. But sometimes, you know, you've got to be in for a penny, in for a pound, and just go for it. And I think in a way that has been a big part of our success, that we went so big so quick, because it kind of forces you to look at your systems, look at ways you can make things better. You know, there's no way that we could run a business this size if we didn't have the systems in place that we have. And I think that was something that we realized very quickly, that you need to, you know, it sounds very simple. You're walking people's dogs, you're feeding their cat, all very well and simple. But when you add other people into the mix, you know, staff, customers, like the dogs and cats are fine, but when you add people into the mix, you need to have good systems, you know, because people have expectations.
I'm laughing because obviously my core business is a youth engagement agency, and we usually say the young people are fine. It's the staff.
It's true though. You know, people have such high expectations. People love their pets. They really do, and that was very apparent very quickly to us, that they love their pets. And I think, it's about managing people's expectations, having systems so everybody knows what to expect from the service, and that was key for us. And I suppose that was a bit of a learning curve, is that just to make sure you have everything documented and that you've got a system in place. In terms of funding the business, we did have an enterprise. Over here they have enterprise grants if you're starting a new business, only tiny, which we used to go to a couple of shows and stuff. But our business is very cash rich. People pay before they go. We don't deliver service unless you're paid. So in that way, it was quite easy to manage that, once you keep on top of that. So that was good. I think that's a big thing, is that a lot of businesses fail is because they're not on top of getting money in. Because it can be easy to be running your business and put those things to a side. You think, I must do my invoice, I must do this, must do that. But that was very key for us, was keeping on top of it, because who wants to pay for pet care when they come back off their holiday?
Yeah. You've already walked the dog, so.
Exactly. And that was a bit of a lesson in the beginning that we learned very quickly, is that cash flow. You need good cash flow, know. And the other thing I suppose we did quite early on, which I would advise anybody to, is have a good team of people around you. So get yourself a good solicitor, get a good accountant. It seems like you're paying all these people lots of money, but it's key to running a business. You need to have experts to kind of help you.
Yeah.
So that was important for us.
Yeah, I'm going to pick you up on that later on in terms of the team. You mentioned something earlier when you were sharing about working for someone else, and this is a question that I get asked all the time, and I think I mentioned to you, I put a survey out to the viewers of this show and to listeners of the podcast about the biggest barrier preventing them from making a transition, and I'd say 90% of the people that responded, their core question or their core barrier was what we say the golden handcuffs. They've got a salary, they're working for someone else. How did they let go of that financial security? But as you were sharing, you mentioned that there's no real financial security working for someone else, which I agree with, and I've got my reasons for that. I was made redundant. But when you said that, give us a bit more about that. Tell us a bit more about your insights there.
I think, my husband's been made redundant 3 times.
Wow.
So, I mean, over the course of his career, he was in construction, so I suppose that is an industry where, it's up and down anyway.
Yeah.
When we started the business, it was actually at the beginning of the recession in Ireland. So it was a terrible time, really, in hindsight, to start a business. But I think if you could make it in a recession, you can make it when things pick up. But I think in terms of working for somebody else, it's not a guarantee. People tend to think that because you have a job, you have security, and to a certain extent you do, but you only have security for a month.
Yeah.
Because at any time you could be given your notice.
That's right.
People are downsizing, and I think, you have a little bit more control. Obviously, a business cannot do well, you cannot make money, you might not have customers, but you have an opportunity to put things out there and make things happen. Just working for somebody else, it wasn't really for either of us. We both wanted something where, we could have a bit of a lifestyle, we could set up a business that ultimately could run without the two of us, and that's why we took staff on very early on. And I remember in the early days, sometimes you'd be thinking, God, do we have enough to pay everybody? Because sometimes your costs would be a little bit more than what you've made. And you think, well, maybe we could do more of this work ourselves. But I think you've got to set yourself up as you mean to go on. And we always wanted a business where, we were leveraging time. There's only so many dogs you can walk. There's only so many cats you can feed. So I think if you have that mindset and you have that entrepreneurial spirit and you can see that vision, it's not for everybody. It isn't for everybody. I think you have to want it because it is tough, It's tough.
Yeah,
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I had a similar conversation this week with a new coaching client I've just taken on, and he's already taken a leap. He's already taken a step. He's left work.
Brilliant.
And he's just started on the pathway of self-employment. But his focus was on creating a job for himself. And I was saying to him,
Yeah.
you need to go as you mean to go on. You know, you want to be able to, like you said, the business is not dependent on you. You know, your job is to run and manage the business, not to do the work within the business. And
But
I
it's
could see,
scary.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, I
it's
could see,
scary to
but
do
the
that.
light bulb came on, and he thought, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right, that's what I want. And I was like, well, you need to start as you mean to go on then. You know, you get yourself
Because
out of the business.
you need to have your systems in place to support that as
Yeah,
well. If you set
yeah,
it up where it's all about you, you
yeah.
know, the systems aren't going to work when it's not all about you, you know.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, it can be tough because there's times where
Mm.
cash flow may be limited, and you see in the payroll go
Exactly.
out for staff, and you're thinking, well, can we pay ourselves this
Yeah.
month? Um,
I know,
but,
yeah.
but again, it's kind of what you want. Do you want the business to be dependent on you, or do you want a business that works where you can say,
Yeah.
you know what, we're going to take 2 weeks off and go to the Caribbean, and the business is still running.
Exactly.
And
We're not
that's
quite there yet, but
yeah, but that's what we all want ultimately.
exactly, definitely.
Excellent, excellent. Just to remind viewers, we have got the question and answers panel open. So if you do want to ask any questions live and direct on the Hangout, you can do that. If you use the question and answers panel on the right-hand side, if you're watching this in Google Hangout, and if you are on the website on tonylbrown.com/3vtv, there's a chat box at the bottom of the screen. If you click that, and I've got the window open here, that should come up and we can engage live in the Hangout. We'll try and answer your questions as best as we can. So that's just a reminder. If you haven't got either of those, we are on Twitter. So again, it's at Tony L Brown 3VS. It's actually right there. It's there. So you can engage with us a number of ways, but we'd love to have your questions and engage with you and answer those questions live on the Hangouts. You did mention, Kate, about the use of content marketing. And I mentioned in the introduction that you've begun to do some speaking about how you use and have used content marketing successfully in really growing and building your brand and expanding the business. How important is content marketing to you and your business, and what are some of the things you do with it?
Hugely important, I suppose, is the answer to that question. I suppose it was a couple of years ago, maybe more now, 2.5 years ago, we'd been building the business sort of using, well, we used Google Ads in the beginning. We did a lot of shows and events, and they all work, but there was nothing really, I suppose, that stuck around. And with content marketing, you've got your content and you can keep reusing it. So when I saw a video there of Marcus Sheridan speaking, it was probably 2 years ago, and he was talking about content marketing and how to use it in your business. And it just made sense. People had been talking to me about, oh, you need a blog. And really, I didn't really know, like, I'd done a bit of blogging, but I didn't really know what to blog about. And I thought, well, who the hell is going to want to read what I've written anyway? Yeah. I didn't consider myself like this expert writer. But I suppose when I saw what Marcus was talking about, just answering people's questions, kind of made sense. Like, I can answer questions. People ask you questions all day long. It was just about documenting those. So we really, really embraced, his philosophy and started blogging like crazy. And probably for 12 months, 12 or 18 months, really, there was a bit of increase in the site traffic, but nothing huge. And then all of a sudden, it just seemed to pick up, and we went from, a couple of thousand visitors a month to 10,000 visitors a month.
Wow.
We saw a massive increase in business. Around the same time, we'd been working on our content strategy for social media. So we'd really kind of sort of pinpointed who our target customer was, who was on our site, what they were looking at, what they wanted to see on social media, so that we can engage more with them. And see, what they were interested in. And I think all that combined, made a huge difference. It really did, because we had stuff to share with people. Prior to that, what do you really share on social media if you don't have any of the content of your own, whether that be images or, blog posts or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So it was huge.
Yeah. And I think, again, when you look at sort of the old way of having a web page and a web presence, sort of the old methodology was, it was more of a sales window. This is who I am.
Definitely.
This is what I offer. Hire me, kind of thing. where you've been there once. Why do I need to come back? I've been to your site. I know what you're about. Why do I need to come
True.
back? Where, like you're saying, when you're blogging, you will see more traffic because you're offering more content, new content. There's things coming out. There's a reason for the visitors to come back, and then you begin to build
They've got
that.
something new and interesting to listen to read as well.
Yeah, yeah. You're going to say listen to. So tell us a bit about the podcast as well. You've got a podcast.
Yeah, prior to Christmas, I started a podcast. When I spoke at the Content Marketing Academy in September, they actually had a session in the afternoon on podcasting, and it was something I'd been thinking about. So I started that before Christmas. I have kind of skipped a beat on it a little bit. I need to pick it back up again. I've got a bit of a new strategy for it. I want to do more interview type stuff. But it's really just chatter about pets, what's happening in the news, what blog posts we've got coming out, answering people's questions that maybe we've had through the week. So, it's kind of quite a chatty style of podcast. So it's fun, it's fun to talk to people. And I think as well, the bigger your business gets, it's nice to have that kind of personal connection with customers. Something, that they can hear you, and they can hear what you think, what type of person you are. Try in our social media to get a bit of us out there, so that you're not just a faceless kind of company. It's quite a personal business. You're going into people's homes, you're taking care of their pets, which for some people are like their kids. So it is very personal.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on that point, I'm interested to know what are some of the security measures you have to put in place when hiring team members, etc. And what sort of how can I say, what assurance do you give to your potential customers?
Yeah, we do reference checks, interviews, all that kind of stuff. We do a background check through the equivalent of the police, the guards here. You can do a check to see if someone's been convicted of anything. So we do that. But ultimately, you have the final decision. So if you were hiring us, we'd send our pet sitter to meet you. Obviously, we're not just going to let you go away and then come in and your dog might bite us if they don't know us. So the pet sitter goes around, meets your pets. Yeah. And if you don't like the pet sitter, that's fine. Well, you only have a small dog, don't you? If you don't like the pet sitter, then obviously we send you somebody else, But all these guys are checked out before they go ahead, and they're all animal lovers. They're there to do a job. They're not there to be rooting through your jewelry or anything like that. They're there because they love pets. They're on a very tight schedule. They're booked with clients all day. So, we're very lucky with the people that we have working for us, I must say. And I think that's key in our business. You've got to have the right people. You've got to have animal lovers. You've got to have people that can follow instructions. That's probably one of the hardest things people find is that, if I come into your house and I say, oh, Tony, I don't think you should feed your dog that food, and, that bed's not really the right bed for your dog, and I don't think they should have a pink collar, they should have a blue collar, you're going to be offended. That's your dog. You just want me to come in and, do as you're told. So, it is about following people's instructions, that's key for us. One of the things that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a sister who's got a dog, and she's very precious about her dog. don't mention it. She's very precious about the dog. Okay, so just to remind viewers, we've got Kate McQuillan on the show. She runs Pet Sitters Island. She's made a successful transition from employee to business owner, and she also is obviously and very clearly using a content marketing strategy to really grow and raise the visibility of her brand. So again, the question and answers panel is open. If you've got any questions for Kate or for myself, or just any general business, branding and digital marketing related questions, you can use the panel on the right hand side. You can also use the chat box on the website if you're on TonyLBrown.com. Kate, in terms of the transition you made, what were some of the sort of the mindset things you had to battle with? Because again, speaking with and engaging with some of the viewers and some of the listeners to the podcast, a lot of the barriers are about the mental stuff, the mindset. Oh, I used to have a boss, now I haven't got a boss. How do you deal with that, and how do you manage your time and discipline and all that kind of mindset stuff? What are some of the things you
Yeah,
had to overcome and deal with?
I suppose like when you work for yourself, you don't have anybody to motivate you. If that's what your boss does when you're working, I don't know.
Yeah,
um, that can be difficult, but I enjoy kind of planning out what I'm going to do. You know, we've split the business between us, so Mike would deal very much with sort of day-to-day stuff. We have an operations manager, so an office manager. She would deal with inquiries, and then I focus on sort of, you know, the content marketing strategy. So we've kind of split up our areas so we all know what we're doing.
yeah,
That was important, you know, so that you have a clear role within your business. If it's just you, that's fine, you know, but to split out what you're going to be doing, you know, I'm going to spend these days doing this, that, or the other, so that you're not, you know, waking up in the morning thinking, oh, what am I going to do? So I think that's hard. I think probably one of the other things is you do kind of miss a little bit people at work. I know when you're in a job, you moan about the people that you work with, but there's also a certain amount of banter that you get at work, and a bit of a crack and laugh, and you know, so it can be lonely if you don't have sort of an avenue of people to chat with. So whether that be belonging to Facebook groups or networking events you go to, or I think, you know, somebody to sound ideas. Like if you have an idea in a job, you have somebody that you can ask about it, you know, what do you think to this, or, you know, how does this spreadsheet look, or whatever it is. When you're working on your own, you don't necessarily have that. So I think having a bit of a network around you of people just to, you know, if you're having a bad day, that can pick you up, or, you know, lift your spirits a little bit. So that can be a little bit hard. I suppose the other thing is, you know, finances. I suppose you need to have a good handle on that, so that, because that can almost paralyze you if you're worrying about those types of things, that you're fearful to do anything, or you become kind of desperate and start questioning your own business model. I suppose, you know, when we've had quiet times in the very beginning, you think, oh God, are we not getting any new customers because we're too expensive? You know, should we run an offer? I remember in the beginning us running this 10% offer for absolutely no reason. And then when we calculated it, we lost a couple of thousand just by giving 10% away to our existing customers for no reason. It was crazy. But you do these things, and I think you need to stick to your model. When we started with our content marketing strategy, we very much stuck to it. Like, even though for months and months nothing was happening and I was writing blogs, I just stuck with it because I figured if it could work for Marcus Sheridan, why couldn't it work for us? So I think there's a bit of blind belief there as well, you know, a bit of faith in what you're doing.
yeah, yeah. And how, again, going back to the early days, how did you test the waters to prove that your business idea was viable?
We did a survey to see, and we looked at pet ownership statistics in Ireland just to see, you know, what the numbers were there, where the areas were, the biggest areas of pet ownership. And we did a survey only of 100 people just to see would people use a service like this, and people would, you know. And that's really all we did. It's been kind of useful, though, to have those statistics, you know, when you're looking at advertising. You know, we do quite a bit of Facebook ads. When you look at that, we can look back at that data now and say, okay, well, there's no point targeting that area with ads because there's not that many pet owners in that area. We'd be better off targeting this area. Or, you know, there's lots of statistics that you can look at in terms of wealth in certain areas, population, that kind of thing. So some of those statistics are useful to have, especially if you're going to be doing some kind of marketing plan. You know, you want to know where your ideal customer is. And just because somebody has a cat or a dog doesn't necessarily make them our ideal customer, because obviously some people, you know, will pay for a service and some won't. So that's important to kind of know what you're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, my approach, you mentioned a business model earlier, and you mentioned business planning as well, and I'm all for planning, but in terms of my approach, I've always struggled when writing business plans. I'm more sort of visual, and I go more down the route of developing a business model and using a business model canvas. What was your approach when planning?
Planning the content, is it?
No, sorry. When planning your business, you mentioned about is my business
Yeah,
model right? And
we had a business plan in the beginning. We did quite a bit of research, I suppose. We modeled most of the business around what we would want as a customer. If I'm honest, like, we're multi-pet owners. We had 2 dogs and a cat at the time when we started the
yeah,
business, and we looked at what we would want as a service. How often maybe we'd want someone to come in, and we based our services around that. We did a bit of tweaking along the way once we found out what people were calling for, what services people were asking for, but it was very much modelled around sort of a typical pet owner, people with a multi-pet owner, so people who it would cost them a lot to put them in kennels, or maybe they didn't want to use kennels and then were looking at a different option.
yeah,
And then the systems, we built that very much around us not having to be totally involved in every system. So with a view to having somebody to manage the office and answer the phones, with a view to have, like, we have teams of pet sitters. So in Dublin, we have somebody who manages the north side of Dublin, and the south side of Dublin, they have their team of pet sitters. So there's a structure to the business. So, we can't deal with all of those pet sitters every day. You need to have some kind of management in there. So it was all set up around, I suppose, us being able to step away from it. Not completely, obviously, but, not creating another job for ourselves.
yeah, yeah. Okay,
So,
excellent. I did mention we do have a quick fire round, which
okay.
I want to lead into. And this is just about getting to know a bit more about yourself. So what we've got is it's multiple choice. There's 2 answers. You can only pick one. There's no
Okay.
conferring, no deliberating. You can't phone a friend. You can't ask the audience. You give me your answer.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we'll go straight into it. Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Paper and pens or laptops and tablets?
Oh, totally paper and pens, and if they're pink, even better.
Are you a pinky?
I am, and I
With
love
a fluffy
writing
pen
things
top?
down. I do. I love writing things down. I think it really just gets it all out of your head. I think you spend so much time looking at the computer. It's nice to write things down.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
Okay. Quiet night in or big night out?
I'm going to sound really old and boring. Quiet night in.
Those are the best ones, though. It's cheap, it's friendly, it can be
I
romantic.
know.
Okay. Steve Jobs or Bill Gates?
Steve Jobs.
Okay. Work from home or in the office?
Work from home.
Yay. Audio book or paper based?
Paper based.
Okay. Black or white?
Black.
Okay. And cats or dogs?
I can't answer that.
You can't find a friend. No deliberating. We need a response.
I can't. Cats and dogs.
No, sorry. Yeah. If there could only be one domestic animal on this planet, and you had to choose cats or dogs, which one would it be?
I'd have to. Oh, this is awful. I'd have to say dogs. I'd have
Really?
to, just because I think a dog is so loyal. Although cats are just. I don't know. I just love my dogs, but I love my cat. So
Yeah.
that's an awful question.
I
No.
actually wrote it down especially for you. So,
I know you did. I know.
yeah, you know what? We've had both. We've had a few cats in our household in the past, and we've recently got a dog. And I have to say, I'd never thought I would like dogs. I liked the idea of having a dog,
Mm.
and I like kittens. I found out I like kittens. I don't like cats. I like kittens. And since we've got this dog, I'm becoming a bit of a softie for dogs. So I've got a
Oh
7 month
yeah.
old beagle, and
Oh.
she's very stubborn. She's got a very strong will, but like you said, she can be as naughty as ever. And then as soon as you show her a bit of attention, she's all lovey-dovey
I
and all on your
know.
side and rubbing against your leg,
I
and she can't get
know.
enough.
They
So
would. They melt your hearts. Like they really know how to play you.
yeah, and then eat your shoe. That's the
Yes.
problem.
True. True.
And what can you do? The shoe's been eaten. What can you do?
I
It's
know.
gone
What
forever.
you need is a pet sitter.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to, if I was in Ireland, I'd go to
Yes,
petsittersisland.com.
definitely.
So before we move on, tell us where we can find out a bit more about the service you offer, and also about the website and the podcast.
Yeah, our website is petsittersisland.com. You can email me at kate@petsittersisland.com, or you can get me on Twitter at Kate_McQuillan. So any of those ways you can get in touch if you've got questions. I'm happy to help anyone who's starting a pet business or doesn't really know what to do with their social media for the pet industry. Obviously we've had huge success with it. We do a lot of stuff. We've had some great success with competitions this year. So it's been great, and it's really something that you can do once you've set it up with relatively small amount of time. I think that's important as well. It shouldn't be a full-time job unless your job is content marketing. This shouldn't be a full-time job for you, I don't think. Otherwise you're just creating another job. It needs to be something that you can do alongside, and maybe outsource some of it. I'm all in favor of if you can find the right people to help you to outsource it, get a little team of people around you that can do stuff for you.
Yeah,
So that would be key.
yeah. So if we've probably got a few viewers who, they're at that point where they really want to break free from those golden handcuffs. They want to leave their job and start their own business. They've got a few ideas, but they're maybe not too sure about them, or they haven't had an opportunity to test the waters.
I would say do not ask your friends and family if it's a good idea. I would pay someone to give you an hour's coaching and talk it through with them. I really would. I think friends and family are great as your friends and family, but if they don't get your idea, they might put you off something which could be brilliant, or they might just tell you that's a great idea because they are your friends. And I think just sitting down with somebody, just to run through what it is you want to do, get a bit of clarity, and see if it's something that's really viable, and then start working on a plan. I think that would be key. I really do.
Yeah. And is that something that that you do? Do you have sort of a paid coaching relationship, or do you subscribe to membership sites and those type of things?
I have somebody who helps me with social media, so I sit down with her once a quarter. And I just sat down with Chris actually to do an hour's coaching just on a new project I'm starting. Really I had the ideas, I had my plan, but I just wanted to say it out loud and get it all right in my head. And I think that helps. I really do. Find somebody that you like, that you respect and that you can work with. You don't have to use them all the time. Just, get them to talk through your ideas with you. Sometimes when you talk it out, you actually figure it out in your own head. When you're telling it to somebody else, you're like, that just sounds stupid. I need to do it this way. So that's one of the big things. I think it's worth it. It's something that I would do more of, I think. I think it's well worth it. You can often get free mentors as well from, I don't know how you guys work over there, but we have a lot of enterprise boards here, and if you're thinking of starting a business, they'll put you on a course, or they'll give you a free mentor to sit down with. So that can be good, if you're on a budget. But most people will sit down with you. You might find somebody who will give you 20 minutes of their time for free. People are really helpful if you just ask.
Yeah.
Don't ask your mate in the pub.
Yeah, someone who kind of knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, somebody that's in that field,
Yeah. I mean, that was a bit of a game changer for me. Once I'd started my business, I knew I wanted a coach, I wanted a mentor, and I was sort of scratching around and trying to plant the seed in the mind of those who I knew I would like to coach me or be my mentor. But it was only when I literally put my hand in my pocket and invested in a paid coach that I got that committed time. Obviously I'd made a financial commitment, so I was more committed to the process as well. And very quickly I began to see progress happening quickly, because again, going back to the conversation we had before about accountability and not having a boss. You haven't got a line manager who's there to motivate you. You've got a supervision coming up, so you get all your jobs done before the supervision. And I found I really benefited from that accountability. But then, like you said, there's Facebook groups, there's things that you can use. But having that,
I think you need to take your advice. I think you need to be wise where you take your advice from. Facebook groups are great, and everybody has an opinion, but you want an opinion of somebody who has your interests and understands your business. So, I think you pick and choose what you get sometimes from groups and stuff. I think it's worth sitting down with someone dedicated to, to supporting you, and somebody who's going to tell you, if it's not the right path for you, or make suggestions, and help you along. I think it's really worthwhile doing before you go, right, I'm going to quit my job today, just to take that bit of time just to get it right in your mind. You'll feel much more confident going into it, and I think you'll have greater success ultimately if you have a good plan. Everybody needs a good plan.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of the brand behind the business, what was your approach? Was it sort of a strategy when you was building your brand? What was your approach to branding?
In the beginning, we had no brand. That's something that we probably didn't put enough time into in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think now, we're quite consistent in what we do. Everything is branded the same, the logo. I mean, even to the point in the beginning, I wouldn't have put our logo on everything that I posted. We tried to stick to the same colors, tried to have the same theme, and we're coming across as a company, I suppose, not just somebody doing this as a hobby. It's not just somebody, in your local store that's put up a notice. We do kind of try and separate ourselves as, you're looking for somebody professional and, a good strong logo, a good tagline. Like our tagline is "Love your pets," and that really sums up our customers. They do love their pets. So I think you're always working on your branding, maybe, but I definitely think that we've got something that does stand out now. Not so much in the beginning, but you live and learn. It wasn't something that we knew a whole lot about. But I think that's something, you could probably do a bit more with in the beginning. And that's all part of your coaching. You get the brand established right from the beginning. What is it you're trying to portray? How do you want your company to look? Sound, feel, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And it's something that it refines over time, doesn't it? You might have a logo and then 6 months down the line, you kind of tweak it a little more. You have a tagline and then you realize that, our target audience is actually more this specific group. So you'd shape it to more speak to them, and you just grow with it, don't you? I think if someone...
early on,
Go on, sorry.
I think one thing early on that is good to establish is who your customer is. People tend to think for us, once you have a cat or a dog, that's a customer, but it's not necessarily. We're looking for people who seriously love their pets, who want that in-home pet care experience. Just because you have a dog, we're not necessarily going to be the right person for you. So I think looking at who they are, where they are, that can often help you with your branding. What kind of person are you targeting? There's no point having a pink website if you're targeting all males. Might sound sexist, but you want to look at colours and style and how you're portraying yourself. I think to make sure that you're hitting that on there.
Yeah. And what's your approach and your strategy in terms of gaining new clients?
How do we go about that?
Yeah. So in terms of identifying them, putting yourself out there, identifying them, and then, really securing them as new clients.
We have a very targeted Facebook campaign, and we use Google Ads, and then we heavily promote our blog posts. So that all is about getting our name out there. When somebody contacts us to use our services, we have a process that we go through. We have online booking. We make it as simple as possible, and we have a very set process, that people go through to meet their pet sitter to make sure it's a good match. There's no point us sending, a female who, isn't very strong to go and walk you know, a £60 dog or something. You know, it needs to be a good match. Like, you need to feel comfortable. Some people don't want males coming to their house because their dog doesn't like men. You know, we have a whole process that we go through to make sure it's a good match. In terms of reaching out to customers, one of the biggest successes we had last year was a competition that we ran. It was, I don't know, you probably never heard of the Rose of Tralee. It's a famous kind of beauty contest here in Ireland. There's 32 counties in Ireland. You can enter from your county. They pick 32 finalists, and then one person gets crowned the Rose of Tralee. And we did a twist on that and called it the Nose of Tralee. So it was all about pets. So we invited pet owners all across the 32 counties to enter their pets. We did exactly the same process, ran it alongside the Rose of Tralee competition, announced it on the same night it was announced on TV for the actual competition, and that brought in a huge amount of customers for us. That was key in boosting our business last year, because it was people who entered because they love their pets, so it was perfect target audience for us, people who really are in love with their pets, wanted to show off their pets, but it was a way to get in front of customers without, you know, sort of indirectly, because they were, you know, sharing the competition to get friends to vote for their pets. You know, it was quite a viral thing. Like, we were on the TV, on the radio. You know, it was amazing, and it was a good way to do something different. You know, you're not always like me, shouting about your company. It was other people promoting our services. You know, other people going on the television with their dogs saying, "Oh, my dog's a finalist." You know. So that was amazing. That was something that was very good for business, and we'll be running again this year.
Yeah, and was that a mix of, you mentioned it was the Facebook campaign, social media, etc., and was that mixed with the use of traditional media as well?
We do some. We encourage our pet sitters to put out flyers in their local area. That's something we do. To be honest, print and radio we've tried, but we haven't really had the success. I don't know whether it's because the consistency's not there, like, you know, to find an ad that works for you consistently. Also, the cost is quite high. If you look at the cost of social media advertising, and it's much cheaper than it is to put an ad in a paper. And, you know, more people are on social media. People are on there all the time. And I think more of our customers are on social media than they are reading the Sunday newspapers, you know. They're in that space. They're in those kind of pet groups and areas. So that's where we tend to target. You know, you've got to find out where your customers are hanging out and then hang out there.
And I think the key word you used there was target. Obviously, with social media, like with the Facebook campaign, you can be so specific in terms of interests, and even like with the images you use, you know, you can sort of select a specific image and, you know, write your headline a certain way and target it to that specific group. So what would you say your main platforms are? Sorry.
Facebook. You got to remember, like, our market is quite niche. You know, it's not like we're advertising, I don't know, social media marketing services where there's loads of people. It's a bit more niche, so I think it works for us. But definitely Facebook, and Google. Google is great for people who are searching Google Ads. So if someone's searching for you, we come up in Google Ads. That's great. But in terms of getting in front of people that don't know about you, I think Facebook is great for that. And we have, you know, good Facebook campaigns. You know, we actually have someone that helps us really target specific customers with those, so that works well.
Yeah, what about Pinterest?
I like Facebook.
Do you use Pinterest at all?
I do use Pinterest. We have a great Pinterest account. I'm not sure, though, there's that many people in Ireland on Pinterest. I don't know. Is it more American?
I mean, I heard some news this week about, just going off a little bit about Pinterest pulling all their affiliate links, which would obviously is going to have a massive impact for those who, you know, one of their main source of income is through the affiliate links they put on Pinterest. Well, what was interesting for me there was many of those people haven't built their own platform. You know, like, you've got your website, you've got your podcast, you've got your own sort of infrastructure, and you just use the other platforms to promote.
I think that's crazy. Like, you know, you have to have all of your content on your own website. That's why I don't understand why people don't blog. You know, you're sharing other people's stuff. How can you drive people back to your site if you don't have any of your own unique content?
Yeah, yeah,
So that's something. We get hundreds of hits. I mean, we get some blog posts we write and we get hardly any hits on it.
yeah,
And then you get others which have hundreds of people read them, so they're people that otherwise wouldn't have even known about you. So
mhm,
I think it's so important. And it doesn't
yeah,
have to be hard, it really doesn't.
yeah, yeah. On that point, I'm going to ask you the question. It's probably going to be the last question for the interview.
Okay.
What was the hardest part about, like I said, making a transition and building this business? What was the hardest part for you?
One thing I miss about working for somebody else is 4 weeks paid holiday, paid bank holidays, and sick pay.
Yeah,
Do you know, that's something you don't get any of that now. Um, but no, I think aside from that, I think I don't know. I don't find it that hard, if I'm honest. I enjoy what I do. I really love the whole content marketing side of the business. I think we've been so fortunate that we picked this business, you've got such a great market, great thing to market to people. People love their pets, it's just such a great business. It really is. And it's given us both the opportunity to do what we love. Like I enjoy this side of it, and Mike really enjoys kind of being out managing people. So, it has been great for us. I really do. I think if it's in you to do this business or to have your own business, I don't think it is hard. There's obviously
mm,
stuff that's difficult along the way, challenges, but if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it. That's kind of the way that I look at it.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
does
And
that
also,
answer your
just
question?
yeah, definitely, definitely. In terms of you're branching out to do a lot more speaking now, aren't you? So tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about that
I
transition.
suppose. The first opportunity I got to speak was when I spoke at the Content Marketing Academy in Scotland. So that was great. It was the first time I'd done anything in that arena, so that was an interesting experience. Met some great people and a great network of people now. It's been great. A lot of the stuff, obviously meeting you, I've met you through Chris, who was hosting the conference. So that was nice. And more recently now, I'm looking at starting something to actually help other pet businesses with their content marketing strategy. So, people who have a pet sitting business, dog walking business, maybe they're a vet, a trainer, a groomer, it doesn't really matter. I think, you're looking at helping them create something similar to what we've done in terms of generating customers to their site. So that's something I enjoy doing, and it would be nice to help more people, achieve what we've achieved. So I presume you'll be over in Scotland. Maybe I'll get to meet you in Scotland at this year's conference. I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
Marcus is coming over to speak, so
Yeah, I would like to get up there, definitely. Although I promise
definitely.
I would never drive to Scotland again.
Oh,
The first
really?
time I ever went to Scotland was with my dad when he was doing a couriering service, and he woke me up at 4 o'clock in
Oh,
the morning,
oh my
and
gosh.
we never got home till about probably about 6 o'clock in the evening. And I says I'm
Oh,
never driving to
no.
Scotland again. Yeah. So the last time we went,
Oh,
we caught an
wow.
airplane, and we got there in 45 minutes.
Yeah, gosh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Very quick. Yeah, you'll definitely have to get up there. It was a great conference last year, and it looks like it's set to be massive this year. So, yeah, I enjoyed it last year. I will
yeah.
enjoy watching everybody speak this year, though. That'd be nice.
Yeah, yeah, and even that, it's a big, it's important getting out, networking, going to conferences, listening to the
Exactly.
speakers and learning, rubbing shoulders with people
Yeah.
in a similar industry. I mean, even Chris, I met Chris at another conference, so even that, if you're planning on making a transition, or if you're in transition, or even if you're just currently
Mm.
running a business, it's so important to get out there and engage with other people
I think
in
so.
similar industries.
Because
So
like I was saying earlier, it can be kind of lonely if you don't,
yeah.
So I think you do need to network with other people, and however you feel most comfortable doing that, that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Kate, it's been great having you on the show. You've shared a lot of
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
valuable stuff with us. So thank you for being so open. I was going to ask you some more questions about your systems and get some secret insights, but maybe next time.
Next time.
But thank you. I think
Next time.
it's a really inspiring story. To go from where you were to where you are to now. Having 55 members of staff to be covering, the majority of the island. It's very, very inspirational. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And again, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate you spending this hour with us. Originally, when I started the show, it was half an hour. But obviously, with having the guests on now, and things just seem to be flowing, we are going more towards the hour. So thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for sticking around. Again, if you haven't already done so, and you are interested in getting a bit more insight and a bit more support in making your transition from employee to business owner, if you go over to TonyLBrown.com and get your hands on my free guide, which is 7 steps to help you better prepare to leave work and start your own business. If you want to go direct, it's TonyLBrown.com/my free guide. I've also got the podcast, which is 3VS. And I think I announced it two episodes ago. We have been sitting in the new and noteworthy top 10, I think it is, for all our categories: business, education, and tech. So again, thank you all for your support in terms of the reviews, the downloads, and the subscriptions. We really appreciate it. Obviously, I haven't done that by myself, so I really appreciate your support there. We have got, we're up to episode 7. We're going up to episode 10 with the current format, and then we're going to do a review. We'll do a review episode, and then we'll come back with series 2. So if you haven't already done so, check out the 3VS podcast. It's in iTunes, it's on Stitcher, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of value for that. So again, pop over to TonyLBrown.com. Business, branding, digital marketing, it's all there for you. If you have got a pet and you love your pets and you're looking for a pet sitter, and you're in Ireland, go over to Pet Sitters Island. Is it .com?
.com.
Yeah, PetSittersIsland.com, and get yourself a professional, loving, high quality pet sitting, supporting, feeding, watering service. So
thank you.
I'll see you again next week on 3V TV. Thank you very much. Take care and good night.